Hello, my name is Adria Lynn Silva. I'm an attorney at Morgan & Morgan, and my area of practice is gender discrimination in education. That includes coverage for employees and students. I have been a lawyer for the past 23 years. I'm a graduate of the University of California at Berkeley and the University of Miami School of Law. I have been practicing employment discrimination the whole of the 23 years, but the last 14 years have been specifically devoted to educational issues. So the Supreme Court has said that sometimes the coach, and by extrapolation, the teacher or the professor, is in the best position to tell the administration about gender discrimination amongst the students. This means that if the coach sees that there's inequities between men's and women's athletics or boys and girls sports and reports it, they are supposed to be protected from retaliation. Retaliation can include things like termination, demotion, loss of duties, even failure to hire or post-employment bad reviews or bad recommendations. Other things that employees may complain about or have a duty to complain about could include sexual assault of students, sexual harassment of students, or a hostile educational environment. If the employee is retaliated against, terminated, fired, bad recommendation, they may have a retaliation claim under Title IX. So if we are talking about gender discrimination of the employee outside of the retaliation context for complaining about some sort of sex or gender inequity of students, it's a trickier subject. The reason is that some courts have held that the exclusive remedy, the exclusive law that the employee can go through is Title VII of the Civil Rights Act, while other courts have held no, Title VII and Title IX are coextensive, meaning that you can bring both claims or either claim. And this is really, really confusing. And if you're not sure if you have a claim under Title IX or Title VII, you should definitely speak to a qualified lawyer in your area. Typical gender discrimination outside of the retaliation context can include things like pay inequity, meaning that one gender is making more money for having the same skills and qualifications and doing the same job as the other gender. It can include pregnancy discrimination, meaning that the employer is more critical of your work performance or is going to fire you or not bring you back from leave because of a pregnancy, or because you've just had a baby and you may have some maternal or paternal responsibilities towards that child. And typically you may hear things like, well, you just can't be as dedicated to your job now that you're a parent, or you have to devote your time to your child and not your job. Other gender equity issues could be failure to promote, meaning that maybe in your department, only the men are getting promoted, or maybe only the women are getting promoted, or a failure to hire based on gender, meaning only certain genders are getting hired. More recent issues include discrimination based on sexual orientation. This can include harassment or a hostile environment, coworkers making gestures or saying things about you because of your sexual orientation or gender identity. And certainly gender identity is becoming one of the most emerging issues in Title IX in terms of whether an employee can bring a case based on their gender identity. It's also an issue that's coming up in athletics. So as a coach, you may have a student who wants to play or participate on a team with the gender that they identify with. And that may not be the gender that they were assigned with at birth or the gender that is on their birth certificate. What makes this even more confusing and more of a road maze to work through is the fact that some states have passed laws saying that students can only play on teams based on the gender that's on their birth certificate. So again, as a coach or an employee of a school district or a college or a university, you don't want to make a misstep by, putting yourself in peril for retaliation or by discriminating against the student. And so in these cases, certainly you should talk to the higher ups, the Title IX coordinator, the athletic director, the SWA.